Welcome to this special episode of the 8-Bit Guy. Now in this episode I have some special announcements to make, and then I'm going to do kind of a frequently asked questions of a lot of the questions people email me all the time. The first and most important announcement is that I have finally given my official notice to my employer that I am leaving. So January of 2017 will be my last month at my regular job. I will be doing YouTube full time from this point forward. I have to give a big thanks to my Patreon supporters who've really helped make this possible. So I'm going to have a lot more time this year to be creating content for you guys. But not only do I get more quantity of time, but I also get more quality of time. So it's surprisingly difficult to film when I have family in the other parts of the house making racket all day, so I have to usually work my filming around that schedule. So from now on, I'm going to have a lot of quiet time during the day to do the filming. But not only that, my schedule is going to work a whole lot better for when I need to do things outdoors. For example, I recently did an episode on the Sony Mavica, and it was actually delayed by 3 weeks because every time I would come home from work, of course, it's dark, so I could only go outside to do the filming on the weekends. And the weather was raining for like 3 weekends in a row, and even on the weekend I finally did get it done. It was overcast and I really wanted some sunlight, so that episode really didn't come out the way I really truly envisioned it, and I just kind of had to make do with what I had. Also, I want to do a lot more of those restoration projects that you guys love, but the Retro Bright usually involves needing sunlight for the UV treatment, so I'm going to be able to do a lot more of those restoration videos now. I also just want to take a moment to soak in the fact that I now have over 410,000 subscribers. Now, I honestly did not believe there were 410,000 people on this planet that were even interested in the same stuff I am, so I'm still blown away by that. I also wanted to take a moment to let you guys know that I do in fact have a website. Now, it has gone neglected for years, which that's about to change, but I do want to draw your attention to this section called Stuff for Sale. And so when I'm doing my productions, I end up buying a lot of vintage gear. And while I do keep some of it, I often need to unload some of this stuff because I just don't have the room. So I'll be posting some of the equipment that you've seen on my show up for sale on the website. So there's not much there right now, but keep your eye on that space because there will be stuff popping up on there pretty soon. I'm also eventually going to have some other unique merchandise for sale. For example, I have reached a licensing agreement with some of the musicians that do my background tunes, and they've agreed to license their music to me, and I'm going to produce an actual manufactured CD. This is not like a burned disc. This will be like a real CD that has all of the music that you've heard in the background of my shows. And I'm going to be releasing that for sale on my website, and I'm also going to be giving that out as a reward to some of my Patreon supporters. Okay, so the last announcement that I want to make is that I have approximately 75 episodes, at least partially scripted out, so I'm not going to run out of content to do anytime soon. But I did want to draw your attention to at least one change you might be seeing, which is that I'm going to be diversifying a little bit more. So in the past, I had focused all of my effort on making videos that I thought had the widest audience appeal. And don't worry, I'm still going to be making videos like that, but now I'll have time to include a few more, specialized videos focusing on more niche products and stuff like that. Okay, so now I want to take an opportunity to answer some of the most frequent types of questions that I get asked in email every day and maybe clear up some misconceptions. Now I'm going to start with the fun questions, and then I'm going to go to kind of some serious questions, and then I'm going to answer the really annoying questions last. Maybe. In fact, probably. A lot of it just depends on what it is you want me to do, how much of my time it's going to take, how your channel fits in with what I do, and etc. And I'm happy to help out the smaller channels. I mean, even if you've only got like 500 subscribers. But honestly, I mean, if you have like 8 subscribers and all of your footage is shot on a cell phone in portrait mode, I'm probably going to pass on that particular opportunity. Yes and no. I mean, I actually like having guest stars on the show, but I can't always find a good reason to have a guest star on the show, and I don't like to shoehorn somebody into a script just for the sake of having them in there. As a consolation, though, you might be interested to the answer to the next question. As a matter of fact, you can. I've actually had quite a few guests come over, and I'll give them a tour of the studio and my museum, and we can just play some vintage video games, or we can just hang out and chat, or have lunch, or whatever. You just have to schedule it with me ahead of time. I can't just have people just randomly showing up at at any given time. But if you live in the Dallas area, or you're going to be coming through the Dallas area, give me a shout. So my favorite channels are Robert Llewellyn's Fully Charged, Cody's Lab, Techmoan, and Lazy Game Reviews. Now, I do watch some other channels too. I'm just going to kind of throw a big list of them up there because there's too many to list. I like all vintage computers, especially anything made in the 1970s or 1980s, but I would definitely have to say that the Commodore line of 8-bit computers is my absolute favorite. Maybe that's because I grew up with them, and I also know their internals the best, and I know how to code for these machines. And of all of my Commodore computers, if I had to just pick one, it would probably be my Commodore 64C. A lot of people are unaware of this, but a typical episode requires about 1 hour for every 1 minute of produced video. So a 20-minute long video probably takes 20 hours to produce. Another thing a lot of people don't grasp is that I do have more than one channel, so if you haven't seen me upload anything to channel A, that doesn't mean I haven't been working on channel B. Although you'll probably be seeing a lot more videos more often now that this is going to be my full-time job. Well, I use several different cameras, and some of them can do 1080p, some of them can't or can't do it very well, and I don't want to mix resolutions, but the biggest problem is that I'm using a computer from 2010 with 8 gigs of RAM for my editing, and so I do actually plan to upgrade to doing 1080p hopefully sometime this year, but the main thing I'm going to need to buy is just a new computer, really. I also want to experiment some with doing some 360-degree videos, not for every video, but an occasional special. I actually can think of some pretty cool uses for some spherical video, but right now I can't figure out any way to do it that doesn't break the bank. Maybe. If the computer has some historical significance, then I probably will do an episode about it eventually. I tend to think of my channel as almost like a historical archive of old computers. But if it's just some generic Dell or Compaq or something that has no historical significance, then I'm probably not going to be doing an episode about it. And that goes the same for my other channel, 8-Bit Keys. When people ask me to do a review of a keyboard that's like 3 or 4 years old, I'm sorry, but I really only deal with the vintage stuff that's 1970s and 80s. So yes and no. When I first post a video, I actually check the comments for several days because I want to get an idea of what people thought about it, so I know, what to improve upon next time I make a video, what people liked, didn't like, that kind of thing. And I also tend to try to answer a lot of the comments directly when I can. But I just have way too many videos to go through there and answer all of them for all of the videos from today all the way through, 8 years ago or whatever. So I'm not sure. The thing about it is making a new intro is actually really time consuming, and in fact it takes about the same amount of time to create an intro as it does to create a new episode. And I think most people would rather see a new episode than they would a new intro. But I'll probably eventually get around to making new intros. Okay, so I'll post the eBay name. It's not a secret. It's here. I'll put it right here on the screen. But most of my regular viewers know that I don't sell Apple iBooks and MacBooks anymore, so you're not going to really find anything for sale there. So you would not believe how often I get asked this. So I believe it stems from a few episodes I did back in 2008 and 2010, back when I used to run a business on the weekends, refurbishing and reselling Apple iBook and MacBook computers. So these people will watch the video and they'll say, well, David, look, you have a whole room full of them. Surely you can give me one of them. So the blunt answer to that question is, number one, I don't have a room full of them anymore. So I would actually have to go out and buy you a laptop and then ship it to you. And then secondly, even if I did still have a room full of them, how is that really any different than walking into like Best Buy and asking the employees there to give you a free laptop? Because after all, they've got a whole store full of them. Well, frankly, my channel is about whatever I want to put here. and I generally like nerdy stuff. So that does often involve a lot of vintage computers, but it involves other things too, like, electric cars or even some modern gadgets that I want to show off. And, if I think most of my viewers would be interested in it, then I'm going to make a video about it. So, occasionally one of my favorite YouTube channels makes a video that I'm not interested in. So, you know what I do? Well, I just don't watch it. I don't make it a point to go jump on the video and give it a thumbs down and write some mean comment about how dare you make this video that's not in line with your theme and I'm going to unsubscribe and, all that. I don't get that. The truth is, I rarely delete comments. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, I rarely even read them past the first few days. I am a big believer in freedom of speech, even if it's speech I don't necessarily agree with. The only time I actually actively delete comments is if they're obvious spam or if they're just some kind of hate speech or just, something that's just absolutely not relevant to the conversation at all. If your comment is not showing up, the most likely reason is because you've included a hyperlink, and YouTube pretty much considers any comment with a hyperlink automatically to be spam, and so it goes to a spam folder. Well, my spam folder is huge. It has thousands and thousands of messages in it, so I don't really check it that often. The best way you can make sure your comment shows up is just don't put any hyperlinks in there. Okay, so I get asked this question daily, and here's the blunt answer. If you send me a 10-page long explanation of the problem you're having with your Compaq or your Dell or your MacBook, that is probably going to go straight to the trash. So honestly, if I tried to answer all of those, it would literally become my full-time job. Mind you, a job that I wouldn't even be getting paid for. So if your question is short, like a paragraph or two, and it is related to something that I do here on my channel, maybe a product you've seen or something that you think that I would know about, then yeah, I'll try to help you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll typically point you to a support group on the internet for that particular device where somebody at least will know how to help you. But I think the thing that annoys me the most is when people try to use my email account as a substitute for Google. I mean, I can't even tell you how many questions I get every day, people asking stuff like, how much RAM can I put in my MacBook Pro model number A3, whatever. It's like, I would have to go Google that answer to find the answer and then reply to you. I mean, just use Google or... Okay, so there is one more thing that I wanted to mention before closing this out. I do get emails a lot of the times, people saying they wish that they could support me on Patreon, but they can't afford it. And I want to let you know that's absolutely fine. In fact, I don't really go around pushing Patreon in people's face like a lot of other channels do. I just barely even mention it at the end of my videos, usually in a little streaming text, and that's about it. So I wanted to offer up 4 ways that you might be able to help me out without actually giving me any money. The first option is if you know another language, you might consider doing some fan subtitles. Basically, you just go to one of my videos. If let's say you know German and there's no German subtitles available for that video, then you add them and you submit them and I'll approve them, and that'll help me out. That'll bring more viewers in. The second thing you can do is if you've got some vintage gear or something that you think would be useful on my channel that you don't use anymore, consider donating it. Just let me know and I'll give you my address, and sometimes I'll pay for shipping, depends on what it is. The third thing you can do is if you are using an ad blocker, maybe consider turning it off when you watch my channel. And then the last thing you can do is simply like my videos and maybe post a positive comment and share them with people. And that'll just help bring in more viewers. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this 2017. I think it's going to be a great year for my channel, and I hope you guys love the stuff I'm going to put out. And as always, thanks for watching.